What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at Data Dash, and today is April 6th of 2021. Well, folks, I hope you are having a fantastic day wherever you are. And in today's video, I want to talk about a cryptocurrency play that I believe over the next 3 to 4 weeks has the ability to potentially 3 or 4x against Bitcoin, because we're seeing this specific crypto go through a technical pattern that we haven't seen in over 4 years, all the way back since the preceding bull market. So we've got lots of things to discuss. I'm going to be diving straight into the technicals right after our quick sponsor. And our sponsor for today's episode is TaxBit. The 2020 tax season is here. Calculating taxes on cryptocurrency is complex and time consuming, but TaxBit has made it easy by automating the entire process. Link your exchanges and wallets to seamlessly pull your transactions through their tax engine and auto-generate your tax forms. Aside from automating taxes, TaxBit provides crypto enthusiasts real-time portfolio tracking and tax optimization visibility so that you can make tax optimization crypto trades throughout the year. If you're looking to stay IRS compliant, have real-time portfolio visibility, and save money on cryptocurrency taxes, then TaxBit is the platform for you. Check out the link down below in the description for more information. Alrighty, everyone, so let's go ahead and dive straight into the conversation here, guys. The broader cryptocurrency space has been doing phenomenally well over the last 24 hours. We have a variety of cryptocurrencies in double-digit green territory, and if it's not in that ballpark, you're either in neutral territory here. Liquidity is really sucking up here in the market into altcoins, and we're starting to see a lot of optimism and more risk-taking in the market as people dilute their capital or their value and net worth out of Bitcoin into other cryptocurrencies. And the great thing is, this hasn't really been bad news for Bitcoin at all. But I want to go ahead and just take a look here at one specific cryptocurrency here today, guys. And I'm going to cut straight to the chase here. I think, in fact, it's actually quite funny for a lot of people, but I'm going to be talking about Litecoin today. Now, Litecoin is a play that I haven't revisited for a long time. And the thing is that on a fundamentals basis, I don't feel any greater or worse about Litecoin than I have since I first covered it in the early days of my channel back in 2017. I think Litecoin's an awesome project. Just like any other kind of decentralized cryptocurrency, Litecoin actually has generally cheaper fees as it has a larger block size. Excuse me, not per se a larger block size, but a quicker block interval versus Bitcoin. And outside of that as well, Litecoin has just as equal of an opportunity to present itself as a potential hedge or store of value, similar to how silver is an alternative hedge to gold, right? Same goes for Litecoin to Bitcoin here. And that's generally the marketing and branding that has made Litecoin drive forward as an emerging large cap cryptocurrency. But there's one thing that I really want to point out here. Not only on a valuation basis is Litecoin much, much cheaper in the sense of market cap comparative to Ethereum and Bitcoin, which have been continuing to climb up constantly throughout 2020 and 2021. But there is a technical setup that we have not seen in over 4 years that looks like it's in the beginning phases of playing out. And it's the reason why I went out and bought a pretty good chunk of Litecoin for my portfolio. So I want to go ahead and show you through the technicals why I think this is going to be the case. So let's take a look here at the long-term Litecoin to Bitcoin chart here, or the Litecoin to Bitcoin ratio, right? That's the thing that people don't think about all the time, is that when you're looking at cryptocurrencies in a pair of an altcoin, like Litecoin, LTC, divided, or just in this case, generally speaking, by Bitcoin, right? That's what this generally is here. You can see here in the description, it's Litecoin divided by Bitcoin. What we're seeing here is how Litecoin is performing against Bitcoin. So when Litecoin's obviously shooting up, Litecoin is outpacing Bitcoin and vice versa. When it's going down, either Bitcoin is outpacing Litecoin or the market is selling off and Litecoin is faring off worse, right? It's going down more than Bitcoin in that case, right? There could be a few different scenarios that explain the ratio. But above all, if we have exposure to cryptocurrencies, we want to be in things that are going to outpace Bitcoin at the right time, all right? And take a look here at this chart. We're looking at LTC BTC. And this is a chart that goes all the way back here to March of 2015, more than 6 years ago. And what we have here is a chart that showcases general price ranges where we can go long on Litecoin and it's beneficial, and also ranges when we need to take profit, when we need to be a bit concerned that there's likely going to be a pullback. Now, it's not to say that it can't go above or below any of these two ranges here, what we call the entry zone and the exit zone, right? And I'm not telling you guys to go out and just switch everything over to Litecoin, but I want to explain something here, and it hits on a few points that I like. I want to showcase here through this example why looking at long-term time frames is extremely beneficial. It is going to serve you so much better than trying to look at the minute chart or the hourly chart. And outside of that as well, simplifying your trading strategy rather than trying to day trade into swing trading. What we're looking at here is the ability to enter into Litecoin at a range that historically, since all the way back in 2015, right? Not saying it can't be, broken or tested here where it does something different, but historically speaking, we've revisited this price range for a very, very short period of time, 2 times in history. Back here in February, March of 2017 and March of 2015. We are now in basically early April here, right around that same time frame of the year, and we're at a very similar price range here. Now, what happened when we revisited this price range? Not only does it generally, turn out to be the area where it bottoms, Litecoin compared to Bitcoin, but also take a look at what happened both times, right? Within just a matter of a couple of months or weeks, in this case, right, about a 6-week period here for Litecoin, as we're taking a look at the 2-week chart here. So each of these candles represents 2 weeks with the price action. We saw Litecoin leapfrog from 0.0035 Bitcoin on March 13th all the way up here towards a high of 0.022 Bitcoin. Now, just to kind of explain how big of a magnitude move this is, we'll go ahead and use our percentage moves from top to bottom. Now, we're never going to pick the absolute top and bottom, and that's why I actually put my exit zone a bit earlier. But guys, a 500% return, maybe you want to put it up here a little bit later, maybe you're not getting the absolute bottom. 300, 400% return is phenomenal for 8 weeks against Bitcoin, especially for such a safe, secure, and time-tested large cap play like Litecoin. And the great thing is, this has happened both times. So what we're looking for is repeating cycles here. And what's so great is that as you take a look here, all right, what we've had here for Litecoin is a continued downward lower lows and lower highs here. People have been waiting for this movement for a long period of time. Notice that the volume has been relatively stagnant. Now, again, we're looking at Bittrex here, to be fair. We'd have to look at Binance and a few other exchanges. But I can tell you all, there have been people, who have been buying these dips here, but every time the bulls here in this case, right, are not faring well because people are selling at lower highs, which signals that people are waiting for price to get to a certain point where it's optimistic to buy in and substantial capital can flow to lead these cycles higher, right? That's exactly what we're seeing here. And if you want to take a look at it in another perspective here, what we generally get is these kind of descending wedges here in price from Litecoin against Bitcoin. In many cases, they take a long period of time. This has started back all the way since August of 2019 into now where we are in April of 2021. This one started in December of 2015, going all the way in to February of 2017. So these are very, very long technical setups that throughout this time period, you could try trading it. Maybe you could trade from here to here, here to here, or try shorting it and maybe make money there. But most people are taking long positions in the crypto market, and it is not favorable to try to trade within the hourly time frames of these, day-to-day price moves. It's completely unpredictable. In many cases, it's on a downtrend, so you're likely going to lose, right? Most days. And overall, we have a much easier setup here, where we just simply buy our positions and we ride the wave, right? Now, again, I'm not telling you guys this is absolutely guaranteed. It's the reason I'm not putting every dime of my portfolio into Litecoin. But I put a pretty sizable position into Litecoin because I believe that history tends to repeat itself and that the risk to reward profile, generally speaking, is favorable. And what's great here is that, let's say, for example, things don't go my way, right? Let's say things start to turn south and we start setting in lower lows here, right? We don't break out here from this descending wedge, which is actually a bullish pattern. Right? Let's say that everything goes bearish, price continues to go down, right? I can set stop limits or just generally kind of mental targets where I know I'm going to be able to get out of my position. I get to make those decisions. I get to limit my risk, but I also can set in my potential reward here by setting in kind of a limit range or exit range. And I can tell you all, 300, 500% return against Bitcoin for a good size of my portfolio at this range where I could set a 20, 30, 40% stop, that's pretty favorable in my opinion. It's a very, very good setup. Now, overall, this is another charter perspective to take a look at. Let's look at the Litecoin to ETH ratio. Now, ignore some of these wixes here. These are kind of errors within the data here that we're pulling from charts.cointrader Pro. This is a free exchange service you guys are welcome to use. I love referring because it's just a great platform, not sponsored or anything. I use it because you can get so much data that you can't get on TradingView. Take a look at this, Litecoin to ETH here. similar range here where we get optimistic. You could even almost give it, just to be a little bit more kind of open here, a bit of a range here. This is the range where it's favorable to be in Litecoin historically speaking since back in March of 2017, and look forward to higher returns against Ethereum. In fact, in this range here, if you're long Ethereum like me, I believe Ethereum is going to possibly test up to 5 digits by the end of the cycle. Things get really monumental, right, and momentous, right? Well, whether you're looking for kind of a shorter term entry here or just the broader cycle, at this range here, Litecoin historically did a 5x against Ethereum. A 5x against Ethereum at this point. That's massive. And these are the types of ratios you guys should be looking for, because this is how you actually return multiples upon multiples of what the market is generally getting. It's the this is the alpha, the ultimate alpha here, if you really want to put it that way. Like there's not much greater opportunities than being able to find these kind of large cap plays that are already well established that still have a chance to do crazy multiples against another play like Ethereum that's already doing phenomenally well and leading most cryptocurrencies. Right? Take a look at the US dollar chart here too. I want to talk about repeating history here, right? Have the initial pop-up here, bear market in 2015, right? Initial kind of trend for Litecoin. This is the first cycle, pull back into the bear market, consolidation period, we start setting higher lows, higher highs. Then we have the next bull market breakout, right? And just like over here, with the pullback, consolidation period, higher low, higher general low, and the cycle continuing. The question is here, where are we going to go, right? And I don't really think it's a matter of watching the US dollar value chart, right? The biggest thing here we want to watch is the ratios. The ratios now are cheap. Right? I'm not saying they're going to go all the way up here and do a 5x against Ethereum. I think Ethereum's got a lot of momentum now with DeFi. I don't know if I can solidify that we're going to do a 5x against Ethereum with Litecoin, but I will say, generally speaking, that whether it's a 1x, 2x in this case, my apologies, 100% return or 2x, if it's a 200, 300, 400% return, whatever it is, this is a really favorable setup in my mind from the technicals. And if you want to even just kind of, take a step back as well, another way you can do this and look at ratios is by market capitalization, right? Sometimes it can be healthy if Litecoin or Bitcoin had a crazy different monetary supply. That would be very important to factor in the market cap here. But if you also want to do this with like sometimes staking currencies or currencies that again have varying monetary policies. But Litecoin here is relatively similar to Bitcoin, right? They have fixed supplies, like actual finite supplies. They're going to be capped at eventually. And we can see here that overall we're still in a favorable range here, right? Not at the absolute low, not as conservative and high as we were up here, right? We broke down lower. We're somewhere in the mid-range here. And this is when you don't try to get the absolute bottom. You don't try to buy too early or buy too late. Right? You just generally want to buy when you know that price doesn't exist or the ratio doesn't exist in this range for very long before it goes sky high. Okay? We can see back here that happens in as short as 2 weeks sometimes, or in a matter of just really about a month, 2 months max, right? That's what history shows us. So again, guys, this is why I built the setup that I did. And I hope that through the pure technicals, you guys can understand why I built this position. I'm not questioning Litecoin's fundamental use case, right? I think overall, Litecoin has really, I got to say, I have a lot of friends actually within the Litecoin community that are very, very passionate about Litecoin and using it for payments and services. And I think that's phenomenal. That's what cryptocurrencies will inevitably be used for long term. And I think those kind of grassroots efforts are so great. But above all here, this isn't a fundamental argument. I'm not now fundamentally bullish on Litecoin comparative to where I was fundamentally bullish on it a year or 2 or 4 or 5 years ago. It's about technical price patterns, super cycles, patterns that take years to set up. And just like how we talked about in the last video with stacks, right? The longer the base, the higher the chase, so the bigger the breakout, right? It's a similar principle here. You don't get these opportunities very often. And because of that, people like to make those positions and they'll start paying a premium once they realize that the momentum is in and they know that the general range is in play. Now, I will say here on an exit strategy here, guys, that at the end of the day, I would not be waiting for the higher bound up here because sometimes, as you can see here, we don't get all the way up there right away, right? We have a pullback, etc. So I would say, again, to keep in mind, to be a little less greedy than other participants, right? If you can lock in those profits and then find other opportunities in the market, that will position you much better, right? And I'll tell you guys that candidly here, right? That's the mindset I'm thinking about. So again, overall, if you guys are interested in keeping up with like how I actually trade in the markets and stuff, you guys can join the Dash report if you want down below the description. But again, the big point here above all is that this is the setup here, guys. This is what you can look at as just not a point of per se guidance, but just or any kind of specific official setup or any regards to that, right? You have to go out there and make your own trade setups. But this is about mitigating risk and setting in optimal levels of potential rewards, right? And if you can do this in a variety of other diversified plays, mitigate your risk, keep your reward open, you'll do just fine in this cycle. I have really, really big confidence that all of you will be able to do great on your own. It's not me about telling you how to set up things. It's a matter of you taking this and applying this mindset alongside thousands of other mindsets in your own due diligence. That is what makes a successful investor and trader. So one last thing I wanted to mention to you guys, if you happen to make the Litecoin trade and it works out in your favor, unfortunately, there's going to be tax obligations. So I wanted to tell you all about TaxBit. TaxBit has been a partner of ours since back in 2018, nearly 3 years here on the Data Dash channel. And if you guys are looking to file your taxes and simplify them, either for the 2020 tax season if you haven't already, or going forward in 2021, why not try TaxBit? There's no problem. You can plug in your data, your exchanges and wallets, and you don't even have to pay for anything until you actually see and use the software, right? So if you really like it, you can sign up for one of the different 3-tiered plans down below in the description. It helps out the channel. But that all being said, guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you all for listening to me ramble as always. I hope you learned something. If you did, drop a like, consider subscribing, and hit the bell icon if you haven't. And there's a ton of ways down in the description to help out the channel if you guys want. All right, have a wonderful day, guys. Share the video with a family or friend member, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, everyone.